What's up guys? I'm on my way taking my dog to the vet right now. Today I wanted to talk about, is Colombia safe? And the short answer is that absolutely not. Just like any other Latin American country, Colombia has its problems. In Manizales, I believe it's considered the safest city in Colombia. But even some parts here, you kind of always have to be careful. So I'm using like my small action camera right now because it fits in my pocket. I rarely take my nice expensive camera out. That's usually just for at home. Even though Manizales is a safe city, just like any other Latin American city, you can pretty much get robbed at any time. It's always funny to me when I hear Americans say it's always funny to me when I hear Americans say that Colombia is a lot safer than the States, because usually they'll compare like the sketchiest places of the States, like Skid Row and the projects, to where they're living, probably Poblado. But those people only really spend time in like the touristy areas. There's a reason why most of the rich Colombians live in gated communities, and most of the foreigners that come here are also living in gated communities. So people will like compare Poblado to like Skid Row, and that's like trying to compare Beverly Hills to like the centro of Pereira or Medellín or Bogota. If you guys actually ever spent time in those sketchy areas, man, the poverty is crazy. It's like crazier than it is in the States. So obviously I love it here, right? And I believe Colombia is a really amazing place, but just like anywhere else in the world, it has its pros and cons. Hola, buenos días. ¿Qué más, Sebas? Venga, venga, venga. And I feel like I had to say something about this because every time on the Medellín expats page, people generally are asking for what's the safety like in Colombia? Do you have to kind of look around or be careful? And people will say, oh, I feel a lot safer here than I did back at home in Chicago or New York or wherever. Dude, that's such cap, bro. That's such a lie. Now, I don't know if it's because people are trying to get other foreigners to come here, why people are trying to downplay how safe it is here, but most of the foreigners I've seen don't really speak Spanish that well. And if you were to ask any of the locals that have lived in the United States, they'll all tell you that it's much safer in the US than it is here. Like, it's like night and day. And I think it's a stubbornness and naivete that's causing a lot of people to come here with their guards down and getting caught up in all these bad things, because sure, Medellín is a really beautiful city. Here Manizales is my personal favorite, but Colombia is a really beautiful country. But just like any other Latin American country, it is not safer than the US. And to say otherwise is extremely irresponsible. How you doing?
What's going on?
Good, good, cool. So you spent some time in the States, right? In LA?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And what do you think is safer? Do you think it's safer here in Colombia in general, or do you think it's safer in the States?
Yeah, it's quite safe. I think it's better.
Yeah.
Way much better.
Yeah, but here in Manizales, I feel like it's an exception because here...
Yeah, exactly. That's what I asked the question. You
Right.
know, LA is different than Manizales. I went to college also in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, in Nebraska is super safe. It's super different. But here in Manizales is a different city.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why basically a lot of people stay here and lives here because
It's the safest city in Colombia,
it's
right?
a city in Colombia, and is one of the most expensive too.
Yes.
People here is more privileged and is more kind of elite.
Yes. Right.
Also, the people here in Manizales is conservative.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think Medellín is safer than LA?
It depends where you're gonna go. It's like basically in LA, you go to Compton,
Yeah, exactly.
get in trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
But in general, I believe United States is more safe.
Yes, I agree.
Safer.
I agree, man. I totally agree. Thank you.
Okay, well, how is Colombia not safer? So I was talking to my buddy earlier, I didn't film it, but he was telling me that in the States, people seem to respect the police a lot more. I think people respect the police here too, but the power is definitely not as strong as it is in the States. Because of the lack of guns, most of the crimes are petty theft. A lot of the times when you get robbed, it will be with an armed weapon, so that's one of the downsides. There's also a lot of like money scams happening here. If you talk to any foreigner, they'll tell you that trying to get real estate here, whether you're trying to buy or you're trying to rent an apartment, is like such a pain in the butt. In Medellín, most people are looking to scam foreigners. I personally got scammed. I'm still in the middle of a court case and I'm trying to get my 4 million Colombian pesos back from the company. You can't really wear expensive things either. A lot of times, if you wear expensive clothes, if you wear expensive jewelry, that kind of puts a target on your back, whether you're a foreigner or a Colombian. For example, like wedding rings, right? Most people don't spend a lot of money on jewelry here because walking out with it is just not a really good idea. This exists in like the Philippines, Barcelona. You know, I've heard there's a lot of petty theft there.
Not to mention the huge amount of like scopamine and drug gigs that we've seen in the past year in Medellín. This stuff doesn't really happen in the States. And yeah, I mean, getting catfish is one thing, and that happens for sure. In the States, girls are more inclined to get drugged than guys, but even then, I feel like the amount that's happening in Medellín is significantly higher than it would any place in the States. And that's because the police force in Colombia, in a lot of ways, people don't really trust it. Look at the weather, man. It was sunny. like 2 hours ago, and now it looks like it's about to rain. It's just how it is living in Manizales, man. So what's the point of this video? What I said in the beginning might have been a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's also kind of not. It's not that Colombia isn't safe, but I feel like when foreigners talk about how I feel much safer here in Colombia than I do in the States, it's all a bunch of BS. And I think because people come in with that mentality, they're careless, and this is why so many robbings and so many druggings are happening right now. Colombia is not a paradise. It has its ups and downs. The next video I'm gonna talk about the negatives about living here. So when people are looking into Colombia, I think you should definitely enjoy this place. Just keep in mind that in cities like Medellín right now, it's very, they say caliente, or like dangerous for foreigners right now. How do I say this? Medellín isn't a secret anymore. The locals who are trying to rob and do crimes are specifically targeting foreigners because they know that most of the foreigners that are coming are going to be caught up in stupid situations, if that makes sense. Does it change my mind about living here? No, I still want to live here because I take those cons with the pros. I think Colombia is just the best place for me. Depends on the elections, if I'm being honest though. I have a business here, and if the elections go like really socialist, I'm probably going to sell my business and take off and leave because we all saw what happened in Venezuela. But you know, that's a topic for another day. So what's the most fair comparison? In my opinion, is comparing apples to apples. Take the top tier of a place like Los Angeles and compare it with the top tier of a place like Medellín. I would say it would be Poblado versus like Beverly Hills. Colombia is significantly less safe than it is in Beverly Hills. Middle of the road where I was living, like in the suburbs, versus like an Extrato 3 or 4 in Colombia. The States is still more safe. Boom. Case closed.